From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with international efforts to save the former Soviet Union from plunging deeper into economic chaos. President Bush says the United States must take the lead. The new director of the Central Intelligence Agency, Robert Gates, said today that the outlook is clouded at best, which gives new urgency to meetings in Washington today of foreign ministers from 47 nations trying to help the Commonwealth of Independent States make it through the winter. Here's ABC's John McWethy.
The guest lists look very much like the coalition that fought side by side with the U.S. in the Persian Gulf War, the major industrial powers of Europe, plus the oil-rich Gulf states and Japan. The Bush administration promised there would be no arm twisting to raise more money, but the president, who opened the session, immediately said the U.S. would kick in another $645 million in aid in an apparent effort to get others to follow.
We meet to demonstrate to the peoples in these new states that the international community cares about them and supports their hard struggle to build new societies on the ruins of communism.
The goal of this two-day conference is to eliminate duplication in aid, to reduce the amount that is skimmed off the top by local corruption, and to make sure help actually gets to the people who need it. In cities like Moscow, shortages of food and medicine are the worst problems. Elsewhere, it is lack of energy and housing. To solve longer-term problems, technical assistance is needed to run farms and factories and to get the products to market.
We have seen Uzbeks die in bloody price riots. Russians shiver in bread lines. Hospitals without vaccines.
What Baker also has seen is an incredible level of backbiting aimed at the U.S. for trying to act as leader without being the leading financial backer. 70% of America's $5 billion aid package, for example, is in loans.
What should matter to everyone in this room is what we get done, not who gets the credit for it, because too much is at stake for us to follow any other course.
Another point of controversy was Baker's decision to exclude from the conference the 12 new countries who are to receive all the aid, and in the view of some, know the most about what is needed. Baker decided not to invite them to avoid the embarrassing spectacle of having them compete with each other for help they so desperately need. John McWethy, ABC News, the State Department.
Well, as John McWethy mentioned, one of the goals of the conference is to reduce the amount of aid that is lost to the black market because of corruption somewhere in the system. European aid donors have been trying to solve that problem on the ground, and ABC's Walter Rogers in Moscow has a report on what they're up against.
At Moscow's warehouse number 12, thousands of tons of food from the European community have been arriving, everything from butter to beef. The Europeans, led by the Germans, have launched a two-pronged aid initiative. Part of it is charity parcels, canned food, and clothing that go directly to the neediest. Then there are these massive shipments of food that will be sent to government grocery stores and sold at market prices. That revenue is given to the poor. To counter earlier problems with widespread theft, EC inspectors carefully monitor every loading dock. This director insists that all food that comes to his warehouse goes where it's supposed to go. He says he's confident none goes astray.
There's no chance of any loss of shipments that come here. We have 100% control.
He believes if there are problems with food reaching the people, it will be the store's fault. But at store number 57, where they are expecting that butter and beef on Friday, the manager says consumers will get the Western aid if it makes it here from the warehouse. There may be problems elsewhere with food getting lost, she said, but not here. Plenty of earlier aid shipments have gotten lost or stolen. In St. Petersburg alone, it's been reported 50,000 charity food parcels disappeared. Today at elementary schools, parents had to sign for their children's aid packages in the latest bid for accountability. At Moscow Central Police Station, we were assured the situation is firmly under control. The authorities denied anything has been lost, diverted, or sold.
We heard many times aid is being sold on the commercial markets. When we looked into this, we couldn't find any evidence.
But the evidence is everywhere. In the sidewalk stalls, canned food, aid from Western Europe, is clearly for sale. This shopkeeper told us at least half of the donated parcels have been stolen and sold by street vendors. Profits are being made here out of Western aid and charity. There may even be more profits to be made when the new aid announced in Washington today reaches here. And the challenge now will be to see that more of that aid goes to Russia's neediest instead of its greediest. Walter Rogers, ABC News, Moscow.
There has been another change in Russia. A very familiar organization has a new name. The official Soviet news agency, TASS, since 1925, will now become the Russian Information Telegraph Agency, RITA. In a moment, the other news. Los Angeles reconsiders a multi-million-dollar contract with a Japanese company. On the American agenda tonight, preserving the national forests. Has the timber industry been allowed to get away with too much? And finally this evening, the beauty secrets of the bovine set.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by the Discover Car.